Steeler Nation, we are back with another great show on the one and only The Sick Podcast, Steeler Crazy. I'm Jay York Football. Next to me is Mike Dub Sports One. Mike, we have a very special Steeler to introduce to Steeler Nation on the Steelers Crazy Podcast today. What do you say?
What jersey you have on? I'm curious. Is that a Jalen Warren?
No, this is
Isaac
a customized
Redmond?
Yins Are Crazy jersey, my boy.
Oh, that's the YC. Okay. Oh, that's a lot.
Come on,
We're
boy.
repping Yins Are Crazy to the grave today. Early bird gets the worm. Shout out Chris Wormley. There it is right there in the back as well. So, wow, how come I never got a jersey? We need a Sick Podcast jersey like that as well. One that says Steelers Crazy on the back. I'm excited, though. It'll be a good show today.
Hey, Jimmy, let's take it to the end zone.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Steelers Crazy.
Harris Smith shields. Flacco. Polamalu takes it home. Super Bowl 43. Pittsburgh might be bound for that thanks to number 43.
The sickest Pittsburgh Steelers podcast. Sports entertainment like no other. It's gonna be sick.
This dude has made an impact on multiple NFL teams throughout the course of his career. Now he's bringing his talents over to the Steel City. We're excited for everybody to meet him and welcome him to Pittsburgh. It's none other than running back Jonathan Ward. Jonathan, what's going on?
Nothing much. Just chilling. How you doing?
Good, man. Thanks so much for joining us. You're in Arizona right now, sweating your butt off, getting ready for the season, right? Training, doing some training there?
Yeah, definitely. Trying to stay cool, but that's hard to do, as you know.
Good stuff, man. Well, we're excited to have you, obviously, at camp this year. I mentioned, it kind of bounced around from some teams. You get the call from the Steelers this offseason. What's the initial reaction?
Initial reaction was just, let's just go to work, First things first, I just gave praise and glory to God for the opportunity because I was sitting around waiting for the unknown, didn't know what was going to happen next, and got the call out the blue. Well, really, it was just a text from my agent saying, pack your bags, you're going to Pittsburgh. And, after that, everything else was just let's work mentality.
Did they scout you coming out of college? Did you have conversations with the team at all? Or was this kind of, a bit of a surprise?
To be honest, I don't really remember who was scouting me because I came out COVID year. So that was kind of a crazy year. So, I had got the introduction of the process. It was like 3 or 4 teams that had reached out that I remember specifically, but I didn't even end up signing with none of those teams in the free agency. I ended up signing with the Cardinals coming out. But, like the top 3 teams that I could remember, I think it was like Green Bay, Chicago, and like Carolina or something like that. But I didn't even end up signing with either of those guys. But front office people move around. So my agent, he does a great job of staying in contact with those guys. So I don't know how that worked out. Maybe it's somebody that was scouting me. They ended up getting over to the Steelers and kept me in mind. But honestly, how it worked is how it worked, and just grateful for the opportunity.
No doubt about it. You're watching or listening to the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. We're excited to be joined by a new Steeler, Jonathan Ward. I think we're excited to get a lot of people familiar with your game. You're a versatile guy. You've done it on special teams. You've obviously done it at running back. Catch the ball out of the backfield. You got speed for days. How much pride do you take in that versatility, Jonathan?
That's literally what I hone my game around. That's what I think has kept me in the league so far. Like I said, I came out COVID year, so I didn't even have a preseason to get to be able to display my skills that year. Not only just for the team that I was trying out for, but just the other 31 teams as well. But ever since I started playing football, that's just been my game. I played just about every position, skill-wise, on offense and defense, and I just always wanted to be the best that I could be at it. And ultimately, they ended up rounding my game out the best it could be to make me a professional. Like I said, I started off playing quarterback my first 6-7 years of football. Then I went to receiver for 2-3 years, and then I transitioned to running back. So I just try to, hone in all those skills that I learned from each position to try to make it the best to, stand out and, be different from, just the ordinary running back, quote unquote.
Good stuff. So talk about, everyone speaks so highly of Mike Tomlin and what a high character coach and how he cares about the players. What has it been like so far playing for Mike Tomlin? And did you know
Yeah.
him previously?
Yeah, no, I didn't know him previously personally, but I definitely heard great things about him before I came into the organization. A good friend of mine is James Conner. I actually work out with
Okay.
JC. I work out with JC a lot of stuff. He's at the AZ and stuff too, so we be kicking and stuff. And beforehand, just when he came to Arizona when I was still on the team, he used to give us gems and words of wisdom, and a lot of his quotes and stuff that he would tell us. He would tell us usually came from Mike Tomlin. Just obviously Mike Tomlin being who he has been for the past 17 years, I've seen him from afar. But, to be in the same building as him and actually get to, like, work with him hands-on is definitely a surreal feeling. He's everything that people hype him up to be. He's a great guy, great coach, very down-to-earth, doesn't treat anybody differently with any different amount of respect. He expects everything from each of his players, which is just go out there and be a professional. And he tells you that every day. And that he tells you that, like, the day is dictated by you to have a great day. And he just expects greatness, and I respect that. And he also stands by his word. A lot of coaches, they tend to use that phrase, but not many stand by it, and so far, I feel like he's definitely lived up to that by far.
Never gets old hearing Tomlin stories. So talk about the running back room as well. Najee Harris, Jalen Warren. Just talk about what you've been able to learn from them and how that whole experience has been thus far.
Yeah, so far it's been cool. I've only been there for a few weeks coming off mini camp. And of course, they weren't there for rookie mini camp and stuff like
Yeah.
that. For the short time that I have been there, they seem like good guys, very very down to earth. They don't seem like to be above one another. Najee, he's a good leader, great leader, very has a very good work ethic. He comes in and he has that mentality of wanting to get better day in, day out. Just from the simple things of him wearing his trash bag when it's 85, 90 degrees out there, potentially, risking him being able to faint, but he has a goal and he's sticking to
Yeah.
that. He's determined to hit that weight. He's been there running those extra sprints, getting in that extra work. He critiques the film, whether that's his film or others in the room film. He grades it just like he's grading himself. Jalen, he's a great guy. He reminds me of a Darren Sproles type playing style.
Yeah.
His agility, his quickness in and out, his cuts laterally and stuff like that. Mike Tomlin gives him praise all the time in the flat tackle drill. It says he's the king of the flat tackle, and he definitely lives up by that. And like I said, it just helps everybody in the room get better day in and day out by competing. There's no lax days in the room. There's no days coming off in practice where it's just like try to get through it. It's, we got those two guys that's competing, for the starting role and the leader role. They have no choice but to push the others that's in the room, and I like that. That's pretty cool.
What's the flat tackle drill?
Basically, it's a drill that's one-on-one with, like, either a linebacker or a cornerback, depending on your skill position. And, the defenders are trying to make the tackle between the numbers and the sideline, and the offensive player has to make a miss. And basically, it's just like a drill that shows how elusive people can be in short area of space and how close defenders can close out space to make tackles.
Like the opposite of Oklahoma? You're not
Yeah.
going head to head, but you're going laterally.
Yeah, literally the opposite of Oklahoma. That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah. What do you hope to show the team in camp when training camp starts? Like, what is the goal for Jonathan Ward?
Just to be more than I always expected to be. And that's just been my story underlying my whole career, from high school all the way up to now. A lot of people never know who I am from name reconciliation, but when I get out there in the field and stuff, some way, somehow, they always point and end up asking, who's that guy running down the field, or who's that in that number, stuff like that. So just continue to just keep building off that from previous years in camp, and just, continue to just be and know who I am, and just continue to just strive in and stack those days, day in and day out. And, hopefully catch the attention of not only fans, but of course, the organization, and find our way on the 53. That's ultimately the goal.
I think Steeler Nation's happy to have you. So, Mike.
You're a humble guy, man. I saw you make like the greatest catch of all time in special teams with the Cardinals. What was that like, by the way? I was watching that leading up to it. That was pretty cool. It was a fake punt, right?
Yeah, so shout out to Coach Jeff Rogers and Banjo for for once taking the faith and the liberty of going out and actually letting us run that play. We was working on it all week, and then shout out to Banjo for throwing it. But yeah, that was to be honest, that was a surreal feeling. I mean, I didn't really realize how crazy it was to after the fact because, of course, it was in Dallas. So, like, when I made the catch, like, you know how Cowboys travel. Like, the
Yeah.
whole stadium was pretty much Cowboy fans. So, like, the reaction was pretty much from just my sideline and my teammates. And I'm like, dang, I just made that crazy catch in the stadium, not going crazy. And I realized, oh, that's because we did it against Dallas. And it was a shock. So, I didn't realize how crazy it was till I got back home later in that night and seeing like the Cardinals Nation and like CMU and like all the other fans and stuff supporting from around. But yeah, like that was crazy. I didn't realize, and the commentators they didn't hype it up that much either. During the time, so like I didn't even realize how crazy it was. So like I said, maybe a day or two after, but yeah, I guess making the catch, it was just the ball in the air is literally slow motion, and I just knew I had to have it. Like I didn't plan on catching in one hand on his head like that, but once the ball stuck there, I just knew like if he moved his head any way that I wasn't gonna catch it. So that's why I tried to tackle him along with me, and I knew the returner was back there as well. And Banjo threw the ball up there, letting it float for 5 minutes. So I was I was waiting on the hit, but luckily CD didn't get there in time. But yeah, that was a crazy feeling. Such a good time though.
Yeah.
Definitely a moment I'll never forget for sure.
No doubt. Memorable highlight. If anybody doesn't know what we're referring to, go check it out. You'll find it on social media pretty quickly. Just type in Jonathan Ward catch, and that'll pop right up. Let's get you out of here after just a few more. You talked about Jalen Warren, Darren Sproles comparison. Who are some guys that you watched growing up, or that you hoped to model your game after, and still do?
Yeah. So to be honest, I was a big Tavon Austin fan in high school. He was kind of my like idol, my role model. That's why I got number one. I wore number one in high school. But I modeled my game after a lot of people, like I said, from different positions. So people from Mike Vick to LaDainian Tomlinson to Tavon Austin. We go all the way to Devin Hester, even on special teams. Just his cutting ability. Also loved Reggie Bush. I also loved Barry Sanders. I watched pretty much all of their highlights, play after play. I could tell you which play is coming up next. But just those guys molding their different skill sets. Once I got to college, I say more so I started looking towards Alvin Kamara playing style, of course, Christian McCaffrey, of course, Nick Chubb. I love his game. Uh, let's see who else. It's really it's so many different backs that I just try to pick different pieces of the game from and just try to add it to my game. Like I said, from all those different guys, from either running with great balance or either having good hands or just great cutting ability or even just vision. And also just trying to be like a power back in those tough critical downs. Go all the way to the great Adrian Peterson, just with that physicality mindset, just different things that I try to take from different players, and that's always been, I guess, a thing of mine. My grandfather used to try to tell me and hone that in on me as well, because he was a baseball player. He was a baseball guy, so he wanted me to be able to play all positions around the diamond. So I guess I transitioned that to the football field.
That's pretty cool. That is one of the
Worked out
favorite
pretty
answers
well.
I've ever heard. Yeah, I rarely ask a guy who's primarily played running back, at least recently in the NFL, who he models his game after. And you hear Mike Vick and a guy like Devin Hester. That's pretty darn cool. I'll say that. So just a couple of guys. No, I'm just kidding. At the end of the day, let's get you out of here on this one. I know Jordan asked about Mike Tomlin, but I wanted to hit you with a question about another coach. We had Jalen Warren on all last season. That is our guy. And he talked very highly about Eddie Faulkner the whole time. Tell me about if you had some interactions with Coach Faulkner.
Yeah, Coach Faulk. Yeah, Coach Faulk, man. I can't give him enough gratitude for the short amount of time that I've known him. And like you said earlier in the podcast coming up, I've been on a few teams, so that means I've been around a few different coaches, and all those coaches have been great, and not taking anything away from them or their credibility. Like I said, they're great guys as well, great coaches as well. Learned something from all of them. But so far, I just feel like within a short amount of time, Coach Faulk has probably been the most memorable one as far as hitting the ground running straight, making it smooth. Like, it kind of felt like there was no introductory phase with him. It kind of felt like coming to the building like I had him as a coach before. He was just honest, upfront, direct on what he wanted, techniques, and from the jump, from the get-go. Some guys, some coaches are more lenient than others, because we're professionals, and at some point, pros are pros. You got to know how to be a professional, and they let you do your thing as far as like, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But Coach Faulk, he's always honing in on those little details. No matter how good you are or how good you are at that, he always feels like you can definitely take that to the next level. And that just goes from indie drills all the way down to critiquing the little things that film, honing in on it every day. And, it's tedious and you hear it all the time. And even though you might get it 99 times out of the 100, that one time he's still going to remind you. And that's just something that I like about Coach Faulk. Like, he doesn't let you get complacent. And that's just with his personality because, complacency, it lingers with wrongness, in my opinion, because once you get complacent, then you start making the wrong cuts, the wrong reads, the wrong decisions, the wrong mindset, the wrong way that you carry yourself in business. So I just like that he keeps us on top of our game with that day in and day out. And that's a part of his personality because our job is his job, and he says that all the time. I mean, our job is his job. Yeah, he says that all the time, definitely. So, yeah, Coach Faulk, he gets a lot of praise. He's good.
That means a lot, saying, you haven't known him for that long. So to have that impact, that immediate impact, like you said, there was no introductory page. So, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And he comes
we appreciate it, man. I love it. Hopefully we get to chat more during the season. We definitely think you got a good shot at this. You're a dynamic guy, and obviously I think the new kick return rule could help you too. You never know. This is interesting. So we look forward to watching this preseason into camp, man. Stay healthy, and we're excited. We appreciate you joining us. All right.
Thank you. I appreciate
Thank you, Jonathan.
Thank you.
See you, man. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Good stuff, JY. Love hearing those quotes about both Coach Tomlin and Coach Faulkner. I found it really interesting what he said about Coach Tomlin, that he is a man of his word and that a lot of coaches aren't. It sounds like a lot of coaches maybe that some NFL players have interacted with, and I don't want to put words in his mouth for coaches he's played with, but it sounds like some of these coaches maybe are just talking heads, right? Like they say the right things in the media, they say the right things to the team. So, yeah, but it's not from the heart. It's not from the soul, and it really doesn't resonate. So it sounds like with Coach Tomlin, it resonates. And you talk about a guy like Coach Faulkner, who Jaylen Warren gave so much praise last year, who also was thrust into an offensive coordinator job, essentially, after Matt Canada was fired. We always criticize the Steelers and Mike Tomlin for having coaches who have underperformed and been on the hot seat. Matt Canada, obviously Randy Fichtner. But what an incredible job he's done keeping Eddie Faulkner. This guy should be an offensive coordinator in the league somewhere. And so props are due, because that's not something a lot of people talk about.
Yeah, and it's just great to hear, someone who's new to the Steelers just have that type of, things to say about the people in that building. I think that, we all like to say, the Steelers organization this, but when it's the players that are there and it's coming from them, it means a little bit more, I think. So
no doubt.
Great episode.
No doubt. Hope everybody out there liked it. Listen, man, the Sick Podcast, Steelers Crazy. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We're cooking. We're getting ready for the season. We brought you the Chris Wormley Show a few years ago, Jaylen Warren Show last year, hoping for some more fun in 2024 carries over to 2025. So let's cook and stay tuned.
Let's cook, Jimmy.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Steelers Crazy on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.